Good evening, I'm Mr. Michael and you're watching Kini News, the show that brings you today's biggest stories. Harapan and its allies may be claiming to have the numbers in parliament, but they still haven't decided on who their candidate for Prime Minister would be. Several Pakatan Harapan leaders were seen at the PKR headquarters for Harapan's Presidential Council meeting this afternoon. Harapan's Presidential Council is expected to convene today to deliberate on who will be named as their Prime Ministerial candidate. With Pakatan Harapan and its allies claiming to have the numbers to upend the Perikatan Nasional government, discussions are still ongoing on who will be named as the Prime Minister candidate. Malaysia Kini spoke to various sources representing the factions involved to understand what is transpiring behind the scene. Among the proposals put forth is for Bersatu's disputed chairperson Dr. Mahathir Mohamad to return as Prime Minister for the third time for several months, while Harapan leader Anwar Ibrahim serves as Deputy Prime Minister. A source close to Mahathir's camp claimed that Anwar had agreed, but this was refuted by one of Anwar's aides. He stressed that Anwar had rejected the offer and there is no room for further negotiations. According to another source, there was also a proposal to name Warisan President Muhammad Shafee Apdal as Harapan Plus Prime Minister candidate. However, the source claimed that the proposal hit a brick wall due to the lack of consensus from other parties. Well, you should have waited for that haircut. A barber who provided house call services for his clients in Kuala Lumpur has tested positive for COVID-19. While many Malaysians are happy they can finally get a haircut, not everyone had the patience to wait. Some resorted to backdoor barbershops and even house calls. Today, the Health Ministry revealed that a Pakistan national who made house calls to cut his client's hair has tested positive for COVID-19.
Namun, beliau terus memberi khidmat menggunting rambut dari rumah ke rumah atas permintaan klien di kawasan sekitar. Terdapat seramai 25 kontak rapat yang dikenal pasti setakat ini melalui rekod panggilan telefon, iaitu 4 orang rakan serumah dan 21 orang klien.
Health Ministry Director General Dr. Naresham Abdullah revealed during the press conference today that the barbershop the infected barber worked at resumed operations on June 10th, and he has been cutting hair for more clients at the shop until June 11th.
Dan majikan telah membawa beliau menjalani saringan COVID-19. Terdapat seramai 15 kontak rapat yang telah mendapat khidmat menggunting rambut daripada beliau sehingga 11 Jun 2020. Dengan itu, jumlah kontak yang telah dikenal pasti adalah seramai 40 orang. Mereka ini telah disaring dan diarah untuk dikuarantin di rumah.
The infected barber has been brought to the Sungai Buloh Hospital for treatment and his source of infection has yet to be identified. Meanwhile, Malaysia recorded 33 new COVID-19 cases today and 1 death. The victim was an 85-year-old Malaysian female who was found dead at her home yesterday. She was brought to the KiniTV hospital in Sabah, where she tested positive for COVID-19. According to the Health Ministry, of the 33 new cases, 16 involved Malaysians returning from abroad and 14 involved foreigners. 3 local transmissions involved Malaysians. Many people are excited that they can finally get a haircut. I know I need one too, but there's something you need to know before you get it. Senior Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob today urged the public to insist that their hairdressers produce a letter confirming they are negative for COVID-19 if the hairdresser is a foreigner.
Mana-mana tukang gunting warga asing, mereka hanya boleh beroperasi setelah membuat swab test saringan kesihatan ini, dan jika didapati negatif, baru mereka boleh memulakan. Jika ada tuan-tuan punya kedai gunting yang membenarkan pekerja warga asing mereka untuk memulakan kerja tanpa membuat swab test, kita juga boleh mengambil tindakan untuk menutup kedai-kedai tersebut.
Ismail Sabri added that if the customer asks for the letter and the hairdresser fails to produce the letter, customers are urged to report it immediately to the authorities so action can be taken. Meanwhile, as more vehicles start making long-distance trips, with interstate travel being allowed under the Recovery MCO, the minister urged people to be extra careful.
Oleh itu, saya menasihatkan orang ramai supaya berhati-hati di jalan raya dan mematuhi peraturan jalan raya bagi mengelakkan kemalangan dan kehilangan nyawa.
Dr. Mahathir may have been the country's Prime Minister twice, each time under different coalitions, but some things don't change, like his sarcasm. Today he reminded us. Former Prime Minister Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, using his signature sarcasm, has suggested forming a party for political opportunists called Parti Apa Aku Dapat or What Can I Get Party. Writing in his blog, Mahathir sarcastically said the new party would be open to all Malays yet to be rewarded under the Perikatan Nasional government. He said many Malays like to form political parties. For example, he formed Bersatu, and now the party has been split into two. He added this is why he wanted to form another Malay political party. Mahathir wrote that the intention of the party would be to enrich the Malays who have yet to be given any positions. He said the way this will be done is by appointing them as officers in agencies set up specifically to fulfill an intention to offer lucrative income to those who have yet to get any positions and those who simply want more. He also said the party will not charge a membership fee. Mahathir's post today came in the wake of speculation over the fate of the PN government, with rumours spreading that Harapan and its allies have supposedly garnered support from more MPs, including those in the government. Mahathir and 5 others have recently filed a legal challenge against Bersatu President Muhyiddin Yassin and 3 others over what they claim was their wrongful termination from the party. Muhyiddin has been caught in a controversy after a Facebook page aligned to Mahathir released a series of audio recordings, purportedly from a February 23rd Bersatu Supreme Council meeting. In one of the leaked audios, a man whose voice resembles that of Muhyiddin is heard saying that UMNO MPs can be enticed to join Bersatu if they are offered ministerships or positions in government-linked companies. As of May 21st, Malaysia Kini reported that 82.3% of PN's 113 MPs have either been appointed to the cabinet, made deputy ministers, joined GLC boardrooms, or have been appointed as special diplomats. The Straits Times, after speaking to several sources, reported that Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin is preparing for early elections. Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin is gearing up for snap elections by year-end after tabling an election budget, according to Singaporean news organisations The Straits Times. Citing sources, the report said Muhyiddin had informed this intention to Bersatu leaders during their meeting on June 4th, and division leaders have been briefed. The report also cited Bersatu Supreme Council member Wan Saiful Wan Jan confirming that Muhyiddin was preparing the grassroots for an election. Wan Saiful was quoted as saying that he supported the idea of having a general election as soon as possible after the nation has a handle on the coronavirus situation. He said a snap election would end propaganda of legitimacy and help create a more stable PN government. The report also claimed that Perikatan Nasional parties have agreed not to contest against each other in the next election, and that UMNO and Bersatu have formed a technical committee to iron out seat allocation on June 7th. Seat negotiations could prove difficult for PN because although Bersatu officially has 32 MPs, only 7 had won their seats on a party ticket. 16 of Bersatu's current crop of MPs won their seats on an UMNO ticket, while another 9 won on a PKR ticket. Coming up next, we continue with the second part of our exclusive interview with Harapan leader Anwar Ibrahim, this time on the sticky subject of the Prime Minister's post. Since his appointment as Deputy Prime Minister in 1993, Anwar Ibrahim has been billed as the nation's future leader. But his wait continues, even as Harapan and its allies look to recapture Putrajaya.
So, could you shed some light on what actually transpired yesterday and how confident you are to being named as the PM candidate?
PH, of course, as an entity, has been meeting. We've been deliberating on the issue for some time. And I think one can safely assume that we're quite clear. But then we want to make sure that the coalition, the opposition bloc is strong. So we need to consult and get the understanding or support of Tun Mahathir and Shafi'i or Warisan. So that process is continuing, progressing to me very positively.
Okay. So you are confident that you would be named as the PM candidate?
I would say, well, cautiously so, yeah.
Okay, sir. Now, are you confident that Harapan itself is fully behind you? Because we've heard of talk, of murmurs, if you will, that some people in the AP are probably thinking that it's best to give it to Mahathir for the 3rd time, and so forth. But are you confident of having solid support from the coalition that you lead?
No, the parties have given me full support as opposition leader and also in the midst of these recent discussions. But we should not preclude the fact that some members of parliament would have some other views, not because they disagree, but then they think finally it's a battle of numbers. I mean, this obsession about numbers. In politics, you can't discount that, the importance of garnering enough support from MPs. Although I always caution them, finally, the more important issue, fundamental issue, is the reform agenda. And concomitant to that, numbers. Because if you talk about numbers, then you relegate the issue of agenda. Then we will have to deal with the past strength and also flaws during the PH regime or administration. And I don't think we can afford that. So to me, it's paramount. If I want to be associated to affect this change, I will not compromise on the issue, the fundamental issues of economic policies that must be transparent and care for the rakyat, institutional reforms, then we move ahead. We cannot be, for example, delaying on these issues.
This is on behalf of Tun himself. Last week, when they asked him about his relationship with you, he said,
yes,
I have no issues with Anwar Ibrahim. You should ask if he has any issues with me.
I have no personal issues. My issues has always been policy issues.
Policy issues. Yeah. So how do you describe your relationship with him?
That was, we were very cordial yesterday.
Brazilians critical of their government's response to the surging coronavirus pandemic dug 100 graves and stuck black crosses in the sand.
With over 770,000 confirmed cases and 39,680 deaths at the hands of COVID-19 in Brazil, non-governmental organization Rio de Paz has had enough of contradictory statements and repeated downplaying of the pandemic by Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro.
The President of the Republic needs to understand that the people are enduring one of the most difficult moments in its history. Thousands of dead, families mourning, unemployment, the ghost of hunger haunting the houses of favela residents.
Bolsonaro has downplayed the gravity of the pandemic and pushed local governments to lift quarantine measures, sending contradictory signals to Brazilians on whether or not to use masks and practice social distancing. Overnight, Rio de Paz members dug 100 symbolic graves on the beach opposite the famous Copacabana Hotel, sticking crosses into the sand in a tribute to those who lost their lives to the coronavirus.
É terrível, né? É trágico.
It is terrible. It is tragic. You look at this and get scared. It's reality. The officials aren't getting involved. And what about us? We don't know what to do.
The protest itself also drew some mixed reactions. The group claims that one man pulled out crosses and shouted against the symbolic tribute, while another man, who claims his 25-year-old son died of COVID-19, went around replacing the fallen crosses. Brazil has the second highest number of coronavirus cases and third highest fatality rate globally. Critics across the country have slammed the president, who once called COVID-19 a, quote, little flu, for his handling of the crisis.
And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'll be back next week, same time, same place. I'm Prasad Michael. Thank you for watching.